What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Blizzard just hit us with a whole bunch of information. Characters that are getting buffed, some that are getting nerfed, other rebalance changes, abilities getting removed altogether. Lots of stuff. Let's get into it. Alright guys, there is a ton of stuff that I have to go over, but real quick, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because anytime big stuff like this happens, I'll be sure to tell you everything you need to know, so subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any of it. There's a bunch of stuff to talk about for hero balance changes, buffs, nerfs, replacement abilities, all that. We're going to get to that just a second. But I do want to quickly cover the fact that Jeff Kaplan talked about basically the report system in the game, toxicity, the competitive ladder, all that sort of stuff. And he gave out some stats. Basically, he said that incidents of abusive chat in the game were down 17%. Now, that number by itself doesn't really mean a whole lot if you're not able to see all the stats. But I think that means that it sounds like it's, from what he was saying, it sounds like it's a pretty decent amount of reduction in how much abusive chat has been going on. He also said that player reporting has gone up by 20% ever since they made those report changes where you now get notified when someone is punished for doing something wrong. Now, this all sounds fine and good where he said, oh yeah, chat abuse has gone down by 17%. Reporting has gone up by 20%. But you know what? It doesn't change the fact that throwers are still a constant and massive problem. Seriously, it's around 30 to 40% of all matches have a thrower in them. Whether it's on your team or the enemy team, it might change. It might actually require something a lot more advanced like what CSGO has with their player review Overwatch system. But another thing that he did briefly mention that I thought was kind of funny was that they actually have people going to live streams and to YouTube channels to actively search for people that are doing bad things in those videos. So, like, for example, if I recorded one of my games and someone was throwing or trolling or being abusive in chat, what they would then do is try to find that person from my video, go to their account, and punish that person, even if they never got even reported. If they witnessed the actions happening in a video or on a live stream, they are actively going, searching for that, and punishing people. So I thought that was definitely pretty interesting. Alright, so let's start talking about the character balance, the buffs, nerfs, all that sort of stuff. He did mention that there are some changes on the PTR right now for Mercy and Junkrat. Now, for Mercy, he said that in case that they're too severe, which it actually does look like they will be too severe, that they're going to go back and kind of modify it a little bit. But he does believe that Resurrect can be balanced. With this, I absolutely completely disagree. I've already made several videos talking about it. The very nature of the ability, the Resurrect, means that it is inherently powerful. It's not just buffing or debuffing a character, a teammate, or an enemy that's on the field. You're taking someone that is completely not in the fight at all and bringing them back and putting them in the fight. That is inherently powerful, and I do not think that it is capable. And because of that, Resurrect is always going to be extremely strong, or it's going to be complete garbage. There is no middle ground for it. And Jeff Kaplan even talked about how the Resurrect ability is acting as if it's a secondary ult. Like, that's how strong it is. It's basically an ultimate. Right now, Mercy is still considered a must-pick. She has over a 90% pick rate in a lot of situations. It's just ridiculous. No character should be almost required to be used in almost every single situation. The next one is Junkrat, and even though a lot of people are constantly complaining about this character, his pick rate is actually pretty low. If he was really as overpowered as people were claiming, then he would have a significantly higher pick rate, and it's just not the case. He's not being used nearly as much as people think he is being used. Having said that, though, I think giving his remote that damage fall off that they did is actually good, because now it makes it consistent with all of the other abilities that are similar to it. And that brings us to Hanzo, and this is a really big change because they're talking about just removing Scatter Arrow altogether. Now, Hanzo kind of reminds me what Roadhog used to be, like way back when they first had Roadhog in the game. Roadhog was terrible, but he had one amazing ability, which was his hook. And that one ability kind of propped up the hero and made it viable. And when they nerfed the hook, it basically just destroyed the character. So Hanzo is kind of in that situation, except he's not remotely as good as the old Roadhog. Hanzo has one of the lowest pick rates in the game right now. If you were to nerf the character, he would be in an even worse situation. But you still have this problem where Hanzo has the only one-hit ability in the game that has absolutely no risk to it. Other characters do have a one-hit ability as well, but there's a risk-reward kind of balance to it. So Reinhardt and Doomfist can get one-hits, but they have to get in really close in order to do it. With Hanzo, he can just hang way far in the back, fire off the scatter shot, and get a one-hit on somebody, and he doesn't have to worry about it at all. There's no risk at all, it's only reward. And it doesn't require nearly as much accuracy as like a Widowmaker would require, because the scatter basically just bounces and takes all of that for you. If you just land the scatter roughly in front of the person, then it's a one-hit. And it can take out anyone up to including Orisa, which is just ridiculous, because Orisa is a tank with a lot of armor as well, and this character still gets taken out. Now, I've talked about this in the past. I think if you just nerf the scatter, then it's going to destroy Hanzo as a character. He's just going to be absolute complete garbage. But Blizzard, Jeff Kaplan, has said that they are talking about replacing it, and they have a bunch of ideas. Now, knowing how Blizzard works, this is kind of what they do. So they're bringing up the idea of replacing the scatter arrow, and you're going to have a lot of people that are like excited or upset or whatever, and then it's going to kind of like die down. So that way when they actually introduce the replacement, there was kind of like this buffer period, right? So it's not like all of a sudden there's this shock. So then the question is, well, if they get rid of scatter, what are they going to replace it with? I think the best bet would probably be some sort of crowd control ability instead of something that just purely does damage. Because right now he has what is essentially the best damage ability in the game, and it's not really working for him. Because when he gets dived, he is in a lot more trouble than Widow. Because when Widow gets dived, she can just grapple away and continue doing what she needs to do. But when Hanzo gets dived, you have to hit that scatter. If you don't hit that scatter on the Winston or whatever, then you are just toast. You're done. Now, moving on, some other characters that are getting changed are going to be Sombra and Doomfist. Now, Jeff Kaplan said that they are getting minor changes, so I'm expecting like really tiny things, like maybe like an extra point of damage here or there or something like that. Nothing major at all, just very minor buffs to the characters. However, some other characters that might get a little bit more substantial buffs are going to be Mei and Symmetra. He talked about both of these characters, how they're very situational, and I think this has to do a lot with Blizzard's design philosophy. They think it's okay for characters to be very niche, to be used in only very rare situations. For them, if a character is only used once in 100 games, that's okay. I don't like that at all. I think that's very bad. You're never going to have a situation where every single character is viable in all cases. It's just not going to happen. But at the same time, having characters that are almost completely non-viable in almost every case is also really bad. I think there is definitely a happy middle ground where all the characters can be viable in at least half of the situations, right? Not even most of the situations, just half. Just don't make characters that are only niche picks. Don't make characters that can only be used once in every 50 games, once in every 100 games. That just doesn't seem like a good use of time. Like, why even have the character in the game if they're only going to be used once in every 100 games? It just doesn't make any sense at all. Now, one of the main problems with, like, Symmetra, for example, is she doesn't really have any place. Like, where are you going to put her in your lineup? Are you going to replace a damage dealer? Are you going to replace a tank? Are you going to replace another healer? Like, there really isn't any good place to put that character. As for Mei, she's just basically a cheap stall character. Like, that's really all she's ever been, is just the enemy is trying to capture the point, so you just pick Mei, you run out there, you put up a wall, and then you ice block, and you just try to delay as much as you possibly can. That's really all Mei does, and I think that's really, really bad. One of the best things they could do for Mei is to take her out of the defense category and just make her into a fully fledged tank. Of course, they would have to make some changes here or there, but the character would actually get some normal game use instead of being relegated to just, oh, we need to delay or stall the cart or the point or whatever, so someone just grab Mei, go out there and ice block. I don't think that's really a good place for the character at all. So I think that is about it for all the changes, guys. Tons of stuff going to be coming up. So what do you think about all of this stuff? Let me know down in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. The links are down below. Thanks for watching. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.